What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Seibelmania and Friends podcast. I'm Seibelmania, and today I'm joined by not one, but two guests. One will be joining us a little bit later on. But the first guest we got tonight is my good friend, Mr. Mark Roth. Mark, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the podcast.
Pretty good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Hey, man, thank you for joining us. So, Mark is new to this Seibelmania and Friends podcast. So, as I take a nice little swig of Pepsi right there. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this show is not sponsored by Pepsi, but if they want to sponsor me, hey, please do. I love your products, Pepsi. Please sponsor me. So, Mark, you're new to the show, man. You were asking all kinds of questions. And I'm going to tell you, this is a very laid-back show. There's no real structure to it. It's just kind of paint as you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was talking to you about whether or not I should say certain things or not say certain things.
Hey.
Because, we're in the era of cancel culture. And
there ain't no cancel culture on this podcast, bro. In this show, if you got something on your chest, you got to get it off. So, whatever you say is what you say, and it's all good in the hood, bro.
Well, if I had a show, if I did the things I did back in the day, I'm pretty sure somebody would try to cancel me.
If that was the case, bro, we would have been canceled a long time ago. All right, so because we've said some pretty controversial stuff in the past on this show, and we're still here. We're still going. So,
did you ever see a movie about? I can't even think of the movie name off the top of my head. It was about college, and there was all these cliques that were protesting like each other, and that was the whole theme of the movie. Was that like everybody was like against whatever someone was doing.
It doesn't ring a bell to me, no. At first, I thought you were talking about that movie with all the gangs and with like the Warriors or whatever, but I don't think that's what you're talking about.
I know that movie was Come Out and Play. Warriors Come Out and Play. That was
the movie you're talking about?
No, that wasn't what I was talking about. But I'll try to think of the one I was talking about.
Who was in it?
It was PC College or something. I think it was called.
Who was in it? Let's do some research.
I can't even think of that actor's name. He's pretty famous now. Back then he wasn't, but now he is.
Any movies you can think of that he was in?
Should have went to Google.
I got Google pulled up too. I got Wikipedia pulled up. So.
PCU.
What is it? PCU?
We're called PCU.
Okay. Okay. 1994?
Had Jerry Piven, Chris Young, David Spade, John Favreau, who is now...
Favreau, yeah.
He's the Mandalorian guy. Megan Ward.
Isn't John Favreau also the Marvel guy?
Yeah, he's Marvel, yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. Wow. Wait. Whoa. Okay, let's take a look at this cast. You got Jeremy Piven, Chris Young. I'm not familiar with that name, but okay. John Favreau.
I think Chris Young went on to play a Superman role, I believe, but
okay.
I'm not positive. Click on his name and find out.
Hang on. Chris Young. I'm not going to leave this page. Chris Young. You said Superman?
Yeah, I'm looking up his filmography to see if I was right about that.
It's not popping up if he was in Superman. No, I think they're thinking of a different Chris. But in this movie, PCU, great actors in this one. Jeremy Piven, Chris Young, Alex Desert or whatever. John Perrivo, Matt Ross. Okay. David Spade was in this movie.
Yeah, David Spade played the lead heel in it.
Had played the what?
The main heel.
Oh, okay. The main heel.
He was like the Rice the Censor in that movie.
Okay, I got you. Was this a comedy movie or was this a drama?
Yeah, it was comedy.
Okay, then that makes sense that David Spade was in it. Wow. Huh, okay.
Yeah, check it out. It's pretty easy. It holds up to today's standards as well. It's pretty good, you know.
Yes, sir. I might have to check this one out. When was this released? April 27th or April 29th, 1994. Huh. I might have to look at that up. Hey, let's switch gears for just a second. I was just telling you about Woodstock 1999. I don't know if you know much about what happened there. Do you?
I have no clue other than they probably tried to put on a concert.
Well, yeah, it's Woodstock. Yeah, they did put on a concert. So before
that wasn't in the Was that the one that wasn't at the original Woodstock, or is it?
The original Woodstock was in 1969 in Bethel.
No, but I mean, there was another concert they labeled Woodstock that wasn't at the actual place.
Yeah, there were three Woodstocks. There's Woodstock 69, Woodstock 94, and Woodstock 99. And this one took place on an army base. Or something like that.
Alright, so it was heavy metal.
Well, so I'm gonna tell you what they had. So the bands that the acts that they had booked to perform. Hang on, I'm gonna get a complete list for you. Hold up. Wikipedia. When I tell you this was a shit show, you're gonna find out just why. So, the performers that they had were on the Friday show. They had Insane Clown Posse, The Roots, Buck Cherry, James Brown, James Brown, Jamiroquai, DMX, The Offspring, Korn, Bush. That was on Friday, right? On Saturday, they had Ice Cube, and that's about. They had Ice Cube, Kid Rock, Wyclef Jean, Counting Crows, the Dave Matthews Band, Alanis Morissette, Limp Bizkit, and this was all three in a row, by the way. These three bands I'm about to list, they all played in one after another. Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, and Metallica. That was all on Friday, right? Or on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the final show, or the final day, they had Seven Dust, Godsmack, Megadeth, Willie Nelson, Everlast, Jewel, Creed, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, based on those names, you know that it's going to be a shit show, right?
Yeah, some are pretty decent, though.
No. I'm not saying the bands are shit, but you got a bunch of 20s. You got a bunch of young 20-something kids in a field, right? And they're hot, they're sweaty, they're tired, they're thirsty, they're hungry, they're drunk, they're on drugs. Okay. Now with that being said. Oh, Fatboy Slim, was that the name of the band I was looking? Oh shit!
I went to local shows in Florida, and you should see what happened there. Like, talk about drunk and on drugs. It's like I mean, we'd be smoking joint on the curb after the show. Cops would pull up, and they'd look straight at us smoking weed, and the guy would just say something like, "Oh, how'd the show go tonight?" But we say, "Well, it's pretty good." And they drive off.
Well, so the first night that they were there, oh, and they also had a rave tent. They had Moby in the rave tent. So yeah, but no. So I'm just going to talk about what happened today by some of the controversies. So the environment, it reached over 100 degrees out there. 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, whatever. And then there was violence, a lot of violence at this one. And here's the thing. They try to blame Limp Bizkit for the riots that happened. They try to blame Limp Bizkit because Limp Bizkit, they played one of their songs called Break Stuff. Right? And they try to say that song is what caused them to get all violent and actually start breaking stuff.
Well, the thing about pits is there's always that one guy in the pit
that's an asshole
that wants to just fucking hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's his whole intent. Is just to go in there and like, even if they're women or kids, you know, go in there and just like hurt somebody.
For the women, they raped and or they sexually assaulted the women, not the man, but just like the guys at the concert. There were. I watched a documentary on this recently. And according to the documentary, there were 8 sexual assaults that were reported. 4 of them were rapes. So, and that's kind of messed up. Not kind of messed up. That's extremely messed up.
Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time, though, because humans are, like, set to be followers. So, if, like, for instance, you have, a spontaneous riot breaks out, which I've been involved in 2 of them during my life, where like everything is calm, and then for whatever reason, one thing led to another, and then sooner or later there's like 1,000 people fighting. I mean, that's an exaggeration. It wasn't 1,000, probably 100, 200. But this one time, I was walking with my buddy from a club in West Palm Beach, downtown West Palm Beach, and there's this blonde girl on the ground bleeding.
Yeah.
So this Haitian kid goes up to her and asks her if she's okay. Right when he did that, just so happened her boyfriend was walking out of the club, saw a black guy hovering over his blonde girl bleeding. So he assumes that the black guy is, like assaulting her.
Right.
So then he jumps the black guy. So now the black guy's friends see him getting jumped for trying to help her, and they jump the white guy. So then the bouncers come out of the club because there's commotion, and they all jump the black people. So now you got this whole race war going. Like this, like seconds later it was calm, and then boom, a race war. So like people are their minds are made and wired to follow. So when someone starts to rape a girl in like a crowd like that, then like they teach the other people to follow suit. And that's what happens. It's like, one person starts it, and then all of a sudden everybody thinks it's fair game.
Yeah, I don't be
stupid. I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying.
No. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's wrestling. One person throws the apple, and soon you got the NWO garbage team. Yeah. It's like one person starts it, and everybody follows suit.
Hey, ECW, one person threw a steel chair, and everybody started throwing steel chairs. That steel chair incident where they were throwing all the steel chairs in the ring, and it knocked out the wrestlers.
At one point, they had everybody bringing stuff. They told them to bring weapons.
They just bring the weapons. Yeah.
Someone actually brought the kitchen sink one night. And the dude used the kitchen sink or whatever.
Yeah, back to this, Woodstock 99. So that they say that the violent actions started with the Limp Bizkit thing. I don't buy that. I think it was going before. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part came on Sunday, when because Sunday was like the last day of the festival of Woodstock, and Red Hot Chili Peppers was on stage, and like the day before they had some like non-profit organization out there handing out candles to people like a lighting ceremony the next day. Well, instead of using those candles for the lighting ceremony, they took the candles and they actually started like torching, everything at Woodstock. They torched both the east and the west stage. They torched several like stands, not concession stands, but like just stands. Like what's the word I'm looking for? Damn it! They're not concession stands. Where are they?
You're looking for another word for like where people sit, like
well, no, like booths. Okay, they torched several booths.
Ticket booths.
Yeah, like not ticket booths, but like booths that had food or drinks.
They sell merchandise or whatever.
Yeah, the merchandising area. They torched several of those things. They broke into an ATM machine. They got real violent.
You said, was Insane Clown Posse on this show?
What?
Insane Clown Posse was on the show?
Yeah. ICP was on the show.
Well, that's your problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem, man. There was a bunch of juggalos there that wanted to fuck things up.
Yeah,
I've been at shows like that. Like Ozfest was a couple of them I've been to where they had different people on there. Like, I'm not blaming the different music genres or their fans, but I'm just saying that they attract a different element. So it's like one show had Ice Cube on with not Ice Cube, Ice-T with his heavy metal band.
Body Count. Ice-T and Body Count. Yeah.
They were pretty decent, you know.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people that were in Florida that were Southern rednecks that didn't kind of like take kindness to it. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, you can't teach people new things, you know, to be civil when they have a fucked up head. So.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that they were drunk. They were high on probably multiple drugs.
I wouldn't blame drugs for any of this, to be honest with you.
Well, okay.
I mean, everything in moderation is good for you. It's like every drug that people abuse has been used for medical reasons.
I don't know if there were any deaths at Woodstock 99. I know there were deaths at Woodstock 69, but I'm not sure if there were any deaths at 99.
And there is a lot of free sex too.
No, death, not sex, death.
I know there's no deaths, but there's a lot of free sex.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure there was a lot of free sex.
Maybe the guys that went to Woodstock were expecting that, just like in the 60s and 70s, that there would be like a bunch of naked women.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There was a bunch of naked women at this one. Women were walking around like topless and shirt and like.
Oh, that happens at every con. Well, even WWE shows used to happen at when DX was around, at least.
Okay, well, it's funny because I've been to several WWE events. I'll talk about a couple with you in a minute. But I've never seen like a topless chick there, unfortunately. I would love to.
You remember when DX had them pulling up their tops on
Oh,
TV?
sure, yeah. Like, pulled them up. They did the signal and everything, yeah. And then they were just...
And then I seen the girls started doing the trick with the nipples, where technically it's not illegal if you have the nipples covered. You don't have to wear, like, a shirt. You just have to put the tassels on them or whatever.
Yeah.
So that happened at ECW shows, too.
They did that with Sable.
Yeah.
They showed her tits, but they put handprints on the titties, so it was okay.
Nudity should be legal. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I was going to talk about something. Do you remember that Raw in 2016 when Goldberg came back for the first time in 12 years?
And he squashed...
No. He didn't wrestle. He just came out and he just talked.
Was he feuding against Kevin Owens that time, or was it?
No, it was with Brock Lesnar. It was right when he came back. It was, like Paul Heyman challenged him to a match at Survivor Series for Brock Lesnar, and Goldberg came out that next week, and I was at that Raw when Goldberg came back. And that was a pretty cool show. The coolest part for me was I had these really good seats. I had the box seats with the open bar and an all-you-can-eat buffet. Hello?
Yeah, I was thinking about Goldberg.
Oh,
And,
yeah. I had
open buffet with the food was decent, or
the food was awesome, and we had an open bar as well. And before you ask, no, I did not get wasted. I only had 2 drinks and I was done. Because my stomach started hurting.
I would have probably got blasted.
Well,
I enjoy my drink, and well, I used to. I don't drink as much more than smoke now, but I used to drink a lot. And I get another great to pick with both you and Parsons about Jimmy Uso. I don't think that they should have done anything to punish him, because technically he was off the job. He was going show to show.
Yeah,
so he was not on the clock when he got busted. But it's just like I have a job. If I get busted for DUI, should they punish me with my job?
My thing is you're a representative of that company.
Yeah, but I'm technically not on their clock at that point in time. Now I understand that he did something wrong, but still, I just don't think he should be punished. I think he should. In the past, they would have punished him, but
I think we got Dustin here. Dustin, are you here, bro?
Yeah, I'm here.
Dustin, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the Seibelmania Friends podcast.
What's going on?
Hey, man. Glad you're joining us, bro. Welcome. Yeah, we were just talking about Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, that's a habitual offender, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just don't think he should be punished at his job. I mean, the law should punish him, but not his job.
Well, I guess that's kind of a tricky situation because he's contracted, and when you get to dealing with contracts and at-will employment, it kind of muddies the area. It puts you in a gray area.
I'm sure there's a clause in his contract that says they could fire him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But instead, they give him a title.
Hey,
yeah, well,
you guys talk amongst yourselves real quick. I'll be right back.
The thing about giving him a title is that's the way McMahon's brain works. It's because he was slated to. Well, it's kind of funny that I'm going to say this because the guy's a walking contradiction. Because he changes his mind so much that he'll slate someone to win a title, but then he changes his mind at the last minute and have them put the other guy over. But in this situation, in his mind, he had written that they were going to win the title, so that was the storyline he was going for. So if you know anything about the drug suspensions, they had guys working shows after they were popped for doing steroids, and they were suspended. They still were working shows because...
Well, McMahon was the one funneling it all.
Well, no, I'm talking about when they got the new program. They got the program now where if you get caught, you get suspended.
Oh, the wellness policy?
They have a policy written into that policy that says that they can suspend somebody but still put them on TV while they're suspended, so that it doesn't ruin the storyline.
Well, I mean, yeah, for storyline, I get that.
So that's what they were doing. They were putting guys on that were using steroids that were suspended, but they kept working TV for like 2 or 3 weeks.
And just job the hell out of them.
Yeah, well, until the storyline concluded or whatever. That's what I think he did with Uso. Was he's probably going to get punished after wherever they're going with the storyline goes.
Well, I mean, at that point, that's I don't know. I guess that's where you get to the point of like, okay, this is like his billionth time of a DUI, and we're going to punish him 6 months down the line.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's my computer probably. You're hearing somebody's coming out the front. Somebody's going out the front door. Anyway,
it doesn't really like spending them 6 months down the line doesn't really do the job correctly to tell someone not to do what he did.
Yeah, exactly. And It's like, oh, I can screw up now and then
I don't know how McMahon's works. It's so that McMahon doesn't seem to care what anybody else thinks.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's obvious. That's
that's a give and take.
It's McMahon's world.
I got
We're
it.
just watching.
Like I told Chris, I live in Connecticut, like an hour away from where McMahon lives, and it takes me a lot not to drive through the South Strangle.
Give the old Chris Benoit treatment.
Ask him what the hell he's doing, you know. I mean, I can understand business, but I don't understand his business now. It's almost to me like to the point where he's actively trying to help the competition beat him so he knows what to do.
Yeah.
But he has no clue how to turn his company around. He needs the competition to be at the same level so he can, you know, like up their game or something.
But the thing is, AEW's not at that level.
Yeah, but he's giving them all the talent to be there.
But they don't have to be. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand with the AEW. Like, AEW and WWE do not need to have a war. There was one war, and that was it.
That's all that was needed.
This whole convoluted side of, AEW's going to war with no, it's actually beneficial to wrestling fans because we have something other than a stale product to watch. And I think that's what happened with WWE was for so long they had zero competition.
They got complacent.
Exactly.
He has no idea what to do. That's my whole point. He needs AEW to become as relevant nationally as possible so that when they corner the market, he can know how to top them. He can start taking their ideas and tweaking them, like he did with WCW. You know, like once WCW passed him, that's when he turned the company around.
Yeah.
Like when ECW was coming up, the same thing happened. The ECW gave him all the ideas.
I apologize.
And that's why that's why I think the product that WWE has become what it is. And to each their own. I mean, there's people that like that style, but to me, it's become so stale because he could do anything, and people get mad. Oh, that sucks. What are you going to do? You're either going to watch it or you're not going to watch it.
Right.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of options for wrestling.
I don't honestly see anything he could do to turn it around because anybody that comes up has to be champion right away, and then when they are, the fans turn on them. So it's sort of like a cannibalistic sport now where everybody is being cannibalized by the audience.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing's going to happen with AEW once they get Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and Bray Wyatt. You're going to have 3 or 4 guys coming in that fans are going to want to see pushed to the moon right away.
Fans wanted to see Adam Page get pushed to the moon. They wanted to see him versus Kenny Omega for the world title. What happened there? He got pushed to the back of the line because CM Punk is coming in.
Page should have been champ day one. That's my opinion.
I agree. But they thought that having Jericho as champ would be a better idea because he's a recognizable name.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that logic, but it didn't sort of work out because they're still playing in the same numbers they would have without him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole mantra that everybody's got. Oh, well, AEW's just taking washed up talent from WWE and this, that.
Well, they are.
Not really. Well,
here's the deal, though.
Who's washed up, though?
You take someone that's young, like Malachi Black. It's one thing. You take Andrade, that's cool. You got two guys that are the future right there. But you start taking Daniel Bryan, you start bringing in CM Punk. Like if WWE released Goldberg and you sign him, you're starting to bring in guys that are like 50 years old. And that's like Sting, for example. I understand he's a legend, he's an icon, but he's not the future.
No. But at the same time, though, the people that are leaving WWE now have an option to go to AEW, and they may have more creative freedom in AEW. It's a different creative team, so maybe it would open some things up for them that they were muffled in WWE. And so I don't see it as AEW's taking washed up talent. I see it as, hey, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Well, Matt Hardy, Christian, are they really treasures anymore?
See, my rule of thumb would be if they have a future, I'd sign them. But if you're bringing in guys like Christian Cage and, I mean, come on. It's like, okay, you're going to bring him in for a pop for one show, but he's not going to do any good for you. It's sort of like when TNA brought Kurt Angle in. Everybody's like, oh, Kurt Angle is such a big star. He didn't do him anything.
Yeah.
It's sort of
that's, and I think a lot of that falls on the creative. I mean, you could take someone like CM Punk or Daniel Bryan with the following that they have and would open more eyes to your product.
But do they have a following?
Yes. I believe this. I believe that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan still have a following. I believe that fans still want to see them.
Kurt Angle had a following as well, and it didn't translate into anything for TNA. It's like, are these WWE fans that are like so delusional, to put it as the word, so like intensely hell-bent on suffering television pain for 3 hours every week and coming back the next week, are they going to watch AEW when they didn't before just because Daniel Bryan left? I don't think that's going to happen. I think that what's going to happen is we're going to find out that Daniel Bryan and CM Punk aren't draws anymore. They're still going to get 1 million viewers each week, but they already got 1.2. So now they got 1.2 million views this last week or a couple weeks ago. So you're bringing in Bryan and Punk. They're going to have to get at least 1.5 to mean anything.
Well, that again turns to where the creative has to get a hold of that and know how to exploit that. You can't just have them on there, get your pop, and be like, okay, cool, now just sit around until we figure something out. Yeah, we'll throw you in a minute. That's not going to work.
I just wanted to say real quick, guys, I apologize for all the background noises you're hearing. I moved my stuff up from the basement to my kitchen, so you're hearing my mom and my dog and all this crazy stuff. So,
what kind of dog is it?
Jax is a...
German Shepherd.
He's a German Shepherd Doberman Pinscher mix.
That's a mix.
Yeah, he turned 6 months this month. So, yeah, he's a good boy. He's just in a little shit stage right now. he's in I'm gonna be a little shit right now stage. And if you tell him no.
Speaking of shit, what a segue into the next part of piss on dirt sheets. Jesus.
Yo, let's do it. Let's do it.
This will let me tell a real quick story that I was
What
going
the hell, Jax?
Bob Ryder just died. All right, and years ago, I had an issue with Bob Ryder. He would threaten to sue me, mostly because we created a real audio show before he did. So we had ECW on our show before he did their show. So he was threatening to sue us. Never did sue us, but he threatened to sue us many times. Anyways, like, he was my arch enemy. I hate the guy. Still hate the guy even though he's dead. So I was telling Chris that one show I said when he died, I was going to go piss and dance on his grave.
No.
So now I was asking Chris if he thought it would be reflecting on me, if it would be a giant asshole if I actually went and fulfilled my promise to go piss and dance on his grave.
Well, I mean, in that scenario, I mean, if you did, at least you were holding true to your word. It was an empty promise. It might not be what everybody wants, but...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was saying that I don't think I should do it personally because it would just be a bad reflection on myself. But then I would have to admit that I'm not always true to my word, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're kind of in a tough spot there. So.
I kind of feel the same way about Nick Gage. I don't really care for his existence. And that's mean, but I don't really care. That's how I feel about the guy.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing is you're gonna have those people that you just cannot stand.
Right. Dustin, you know this better than anybody. I was that person in EFEDS for a long time.
I'm that person currently now online. There's a lot of people that don't like me just because I don't like play along with their bullshit. I don't believe in playing along with people's bullshit.
Right.
Saying something stupid, I'm gonna say you're stupid.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, and that's like the biggest thing is that when people say, "Hey, I got a question," I'm like, "Okay, now before you ask me that question, make sure you're prepared for whatever answer I'll give you because I'm gonna shoot straight from the hip. You may not like the answer, but then again, you may like it."
That's one thing I've always respected about you, Dustin, is that you are a straight shooter, man. You don't sugarcoat your responses for anything.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, they may not be right, but that's how it is.
Right. And that's kind of how I do these podcasts. You may not like what you hear on these podcasts, but that's too bad.
Yeah, it's not forever. I mean, I'm not rated E for everyone.
No.
For example, I'm a huge CM Punk fan.
Yes.
I'm interested to see what they do with him in AEW. Am I going to tune into AEW more than I have? Probably, just to see what they do with him. Now, am I looking for that old nostalgia of the summer of Punk when he was going shoot style on everything? Absolutely. Is this going to happen? Probably not. But that's the whole thing with the dirt sheets, though, is like, can they not let us just be surprised? Like, why is it that it's a rush to ruin any kind of surprise? And I think that's what's happened to a lot of wrestling is they've taken the surprise factor out of it now.
I think the thing with CM Punk is the reason why they are promoting him is because they're promoting him without promoting him. If that makes any sense, they're promoting him without saying his name. And the reason I think that they're doing that is so that they could sell out the Chicago Center that they have, which they did sell it out. So
it's all about ratings.
Well, yeah, but okay. Well, take for example, anytime WWE is in Chicago, everybody knows. I mean, it is a foregone conclusion now that CM Punk will never return. Well, okay, I won't say never.
Yeah, never say never.
But highly, highly unlikely that he would ever step foot in WWE wrestling ring again.
Yes. Agreed.
And every time they're in Chicago, they blow the entire show up. The fans do. We want Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk.
They did it on Monday.
Exactly. Well, then they also... So then they did it to... about Bray Wyatt.
Okay? Yeah, we want Wyatt.
I'm a huge, huge fan of Bray Wyatt. Yeah. And I'll admit, when they first started the Firefly Funhouse, I was kind of like, it took some time, but it grew on.
Yeah, same here. I was like, what the heck is this?
And I read it somewhere on the internet somewhere that, and it was true, some of the Bray Wyatt matches, they were chanting for a beach ball.
Yeah.
But now, all of a sudden, that WWE releases them for whatever reason, because there's so many different things. One was that he was still dealing with Brody Lee's death, and they told him, hey, you got to come back now. We're ready to put you back in a storyline.
I think he was supposed to come back next month.
Yeah, and then it was budget cuts. Nobody really knows why.
Right.
But it's like the fans completely shit all over WWE, and it's like, well, in some of his matches, you were chanting for a beach ball. Now you want to be upset because WWE got rid of him? Like, I think a lot of it, the people say that Vince McMahon is tone deaf to the audience, and I will almost 89% agree to that. But at a certain point, too, I also think that the fans actually dictate what a lot of WWE does with their talent.
Yes, I would agree.
Like, Vince McMahon's not going to want to have the fans chanting for a beach ball during a match that they're trying to put a guy over on.
Right. Right. No, and by the way, that whole beach ball thing is so stupid in the first place.
Absolutely.
It's so stupid in the first place. You go to a wrestling event to watch wrestling, not to throw a beach ball around.
But that, I think, too, is that's the audience trying to redo the Attitude Era of wrestling, where they had all these signs out there, and you had all the the fans were going crazy and pretty much taking over the show, to where now I think they're just so misguided. I don't even think the fans know what they want.
No, they definitely don't. I have a... Hey, I wanted to get your opinion on this one, Dustin. Did you see that segment with Shayna Baszler and the doll?
To be honest with you, I don't watch a whole lot of the weekly televised. I usually catch a little bit of the snippets of the highlights, and then like the pay-per-views, I'll watch them.
Okay, well, just to give you a little insight on what happened. So Alexa Bliss has a doll, Lily,
Yeah.
And Lily and they had a segment with Shayna Baszler like the week before, where Shayna called the doll stupid, and so the very next week, Alexa Bliss goes up, or she calls Shayna out to the ring, and she says, "You need to apologize to the doll for saying it's stupid, right?" And Shayna's like, "I'm not going to apologize to a stupid doll," and she walks away, and as she's walking away, lights flicker, and she goes to the back, and there's nobody in the back. It's completely empty. She goes to her locker, and the lights flicker in the back. Goes to her locker room, barricades herself in the door. Mom. Sorry. Barricades herself in the door, or barricades herself in the room, and she looks behind, and this was straight out of WCW 98 with Ultimate Warrior, because she can see the doll in the mirror, but she looks right behind her, and the doll's not there. And
yeah.
I watched that segment, and I was so pissed off at how stupid it was.
Well,
it was worse than it sounds.
And seeing that, that's where this whole thing is confusing, is because what are they actually doing with Alexa Bliss now at this point? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everybody wanted her to be Sister Abigail.
Right.
Well, just as she starts turning to that, then all of a sudden, Bray Wyatt's gone. So where is that actually going? And that's where, like, with this whole doll thing, I think it helps the story because, look at Bray Wyatt. He had dolls as well.
Puppets.
And, yeah, they were the supernatural type, but I just think that it's so diluted that, yes, in a way it's stupid, but at the same time, it's kind of in line with where the story's going, It's all this supernatural type stuff.
But I have a buddy. My point was, I have a buddy who will defend anything and everything that the WWE does. But then AEW does something stupid, and he will crap all over it. And it's just like, if you're going to crap all over AEW for doing stupid shit, which rightfully so, because they deserve it, you should do the same for WWE. And he just doesn't do that. And
is his name Jay?
Jay Hinch? Yeah, you know him.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, yes. In the wrestling fan world, it'll never happen. Because you're going to have your WWE loyalists, you're going to have your AEW. I mean, there's people now that are WWE fans, that have been WWE fans from the beginning.
It's sort of like if you're a sports fan, it's like you're always going to defend your team's moves, even if it's stupid.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even they could do the exact same thing, and people will still shit all over one or the other.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, before we continue, Jay, I love you, buddy. I wasn't a slam at you. I was just making a statement. Wasn't a dig at you at all, man. I promise.
But but that's the thing. Honestly, okay. For example, like you said, AEW could do something, WWE could do the same exact thing, and WWE fans would be like, "Well, I can't believe AEW would do something that stupid," and then in the same breath, cheer WWE for doing the same thing.
Right. That I know people who will do that
it's
too.
Happening now. It's happening now if you watch it, because they keep saying, AEW's taking all the washed up talent from WWE, but yet here's WWE bringing back Bill Goldberg for the 18th millionth time. Like, his pop, yes, he's gonna get a pop, but to me, it doesn't mean anything, and it almost tells you the story right away. Like, this is a build up. in my opinion, this is a build-up for a Rock versus Roman Reigns. Like, there's so many people on the roster right now. Why do you have to keep bringing back Bill Goldberg in his 50s and a movie star Rock?
Right.
Because they have built Roman Reigns up so much now that you couldn't feasibly put anybody on the roster in the match with Roman Reigns for a title and believe that it's going to happen.
You could, but you could have done that with Edge should have beat him at Money in the Bank. I'm just going to say that.
In WWE case, it's all based around right now. The dynamic changed again because it's based around the fact that they got more views for WrestleMania with Peacock than they ever did anywhere else. So now, like, if you're gonna bring in Rock for WrestleMania, that's right there gonna make NBC Universal and Peacock go through the roof.
Oh yeah.
So you're talking about millions of, like, 10, 20 million people.
And let me just go on record and say this, that I hate the fact that WWE Network moved to Peacock.
Oh god, that was such a stupid move.
I hate that.
I was paying for I was paying for Peacock. Shut up, Mom. I know what you're thinking over there. Shut up. Sorry. We have a little thing in our house where when we started, we go or you know. And my mom was over there cracking up laughing because I did it. But I was already paying for Peacock prior to before WWE Network was purchased by them, and I bought Peacock because you could watch shows like Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD, which I love all three shows, and SVU. I had a bunch of shows I like to watch on Peacock, and that's why I got it. And then I found out that WWE was going there. I'm like, okay, that's not too bad, I guess. And then they've had all these issues, so I don't.
Well, they haven't brought over the entire library that was on the network.
And then they said that they would.
They're slowly editing it all to take all the offensive stuff out.
Yes.
They're catering to that PC world, which to me is absolute bullshit.
Well, I mean, in theory, they have to. They have more to lose than WWE does, so
yes.
NBC does. But
Yeah.
I understand why NBC's doing it. Why McMahon did it, that's a different story. But yeah, it's gonna.
We all know why he did it. He did it for the money.
No, well, yeah. Well, I meant edit stuff. I mean, I know he does everything for the money. In my opinion, about them selling WWE Network was a good for them because they were never going to utilize the network the way it should have been in the first place.
I just say real quick, I kind of wish that this video was.
If I had that network, I would have had like sports shows covering wrestling. I would have had independent people on the shows, they had CM Punk on the backstage show. That should have been like the network how it's run.
Yes.
Where at any moment you could break in live and something would be happening with like guys fighting or something.
Can I just say, I wish we were doing it in video form, because then you all would be able to see my mom doing her dance that she was just doing. she was doing like the Great Khali dance. With the hand movement. She was doing the Humpty dance, she says.
But
we have a lot of fun in this house. Peacock. Peacock is I like Peacock. Don't get me wrong, I do, but WWE on Peacock is not my favorite. Especially after Money in the Bank, or at Money in the Bank when they had that issue. I don't know if you guys watched Money in the Bank, but there was a issue right before the men's Money in the Bank where the feed just completely took a crash.
It was out for everybody. It was there had too many people trying to watch,
and nobody knows why it happened.
I think it was just because there was probably overload. Too many people trying to watch.
Yeah,
they didn't expect that many people would be watching, so they didn't clear enough bandwidth or whatever. So streaming issues. That's why what WWE did was they stopped the NBC feed and they ran their own WWE Network feed to fix it.
Gotcha. That makes sense then, I guess. Hey, let's switch gears.
And that's why they should have never walked away from the network.
Right. They should have kept the network. I agree. Hey, let's switch gears here. Are you guys watching a lot of television shows?
As in sitcoms or any? What do you mean?
Just in general. Like, what do you?
Does porn count?
Porn.
Hey, porn is on TV. Yeah. Like for me, some of my favorite shows right now that I'm watching are Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. Actually, not even Chicago Med. I'm gonna take that one out. I don't like that one very much. Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. I like Hawaii Five-0. And I watch NCIS Los Angeles and NCIS New Orleans. Those are my main shows.
I just got caught up on Yellowstone.
I watch Bar Rescue a lot.
Oh, Bar Rescue is a good show.
Bar Rescue, Kitchen Nightmare, anywhere where you bring somebody in and they just completely trash an owner. It's almost like, and
not
you
just
can
trash,
scream
at the owner. They scream at them.
Think about this though. If you were to do it for wrestling, like who would you bring in to just completely thrash Vince McMahon and be like, just grab him by the head and just shake the shit out of him and be like, listen.
Jim Cornette.
Jesse Ventura.
Yes.
Jesse Ventura, I could see that. Yeah.
So I could see him saying McMahon.
Yes.
Yeah, McMahon. Yeah, I can't do a good Jesse Ventura impression. I'm sorry. I wish I could. No, I would like to see. I would like to see Jim Cornette just curse out Vince McMahon, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I think Cornette would kick his ass though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Cornette.
He'd be happy for that paycheck, you know.
Oh yeah. He'd be one of those ones. He'd hype it up till he got there, and the minute he'd pull that whole, just like back when WWE invaded WCW Nitro. They've all been on record saying that they're glad they shut the doors because they don't know what would have happened if they would have left the doors open. Like it was like, okay, we're here now. What do we do? I don't know. What do we do?
That's one of the dates they lost the war though, was because if they had embraced the fact that they were there, then they would have made WWE look bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, like if they came out like Scott Hall and Nash wanted to, if they came out, then they weren't going to fight, obviously, but DX would look like pussies.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what do you guys think about? What do you guys think about the invasion angle that happened?
It was done completely wrong.
Yes,
they blew it because they didn't want to spend big money to get the right guys.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a big issue.
I mean, you had new and upcoming, mid-card talent from WCW that weren't even real. I mean, there were some of them that were over, but most of them at that time were hardly known at that point. And then you bring them into WCW, and it was like, who are these guys? Oh, this is WCW? No wonder WCW lost.
You're a top guy.
They were brought in like the NWO.
I think that the only one they needed, ironically, was Goldberg. If they had Goldberg, that would have, because nobody else really mattered WCW at that point.
Sting.
It was Goldberg.
Sting.
Well, yeah, Sting would have been in his prime then too. So.
Yeah, but I don't even think Sting would have been involved in that because he was such a WCW loyalist. That's why it took him so long, even after, to even step foot in WWE because
he never went because of religion.
Yeah, well, that and he held such a grudge against Vince McMahon for killing WCW. That it was like, because that was the WCW's version of The Undertaker, which I still think that match should have happened fucking 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, God, Sting and Taker, the fact that match has never happened is an absolute wrestling crime.
Yeah, and
it's criminal. It's criminal.
It is.
You had an opportunity to do it at WrestleMania 31, and you completely
even
fucked
then
it
was
up.
too late.
I'm relating a story.
But at that point, better late than never.
I went to the first Ozfest, almost 10 years ago, maybe longer. And at that point, Ozzy was like 55 or whatever. So, I left before he played because I'd never seen Ozzy play before. So I was going into it like, okay, well, I don't want to see this guy that's a 55-year-old trying to relive his glory days and not be as good as he was then, and that be my impression of him. Yeah. Because I can see how good he was.
it's funny because I kind of...
That's what I feel about the Undertaker Sting match. It's like, I don't want to see it now.
No.
Unless it was cinematic, that'd be different. You know, if they did the whole cinematic thing, then it might be different. But I don't want to see them in the ring performing because, like, it's just not going to work.
Well, okay, that's like, I'm a huge Undertaker fan. Always
Same.
have been. I do not want to see him wrestle ever again.
Nah, he's done. Let him retire. Let him be peaceful and leave him alone.
I mean,
Well, I could see him
even
doing
5
the
years
cinematic.
ago, I did not want to see him wrestle 5 years ago.
I could see him doing the cinematic thing, but I don't want to see him in the ring.
I would
No.
like to see Taker get a proper send-off in front of the fans. Because at Survivor Series, he didn't get that. So I would like to see him get a proper goodbye
To
from
me,
the fans.
and I know it's wrestling and it had to happen, the streak ending right there should have been the end of The Undertaker. Because that was all he had.
Yes.
He had nothing else left except for the streak. And when the streak was over, it was like, okay, maybe one more match to try and say, okay, let me even out that win or that loss that I had. But even at that point, it was almost a stretch, and it was like, dude, just stop.
Well,
You're
it's
done.
sort of like what they did with Lesnar. Lesnar didn't lose, and he didn't lose, and then all of a sudden, like, 3 or 4 guys beat him. Now it's like, okay, so how special is he now? Like,
Yeah.
like Goldberg coming back. It's like, okay, well, you know, Goldberg's already lost 2 people. So
Yeah.
it's like, what the, you know, I think he's going to beat Bobby Lashley. That's my opinion. But we'll find out. If they kill Goldberg off against Lashley, he's done because he can't. You know, he's got no credibility left.
But
Yes.
you don't want to kill off Lashley's credibility, do you?
But you won't, though, if Goldberg wins.
Really?
Because,
You know,
well, yeah, because look at what they did with the Goldberg-Lesnar thing. I mean, hell, he squashed Lesnar in what? 2 matches he squashed him in?
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt
You,
Lesnar.
what you do is you do a double turn. Goldberg becomes the heel, Lashley becomes the babyface. Somehow MVP maybe betrays Lashley.
Yeah, it's not a clean win. Come out somehow where it's not a clean win, or you know, Lashley doesn't lose cleanly. That to me would probably be the best scenario for him to lose. That way, you wouldn't break any almighty credibility that he has.
How funny would it be to see Goldberg come out with like MVP and the Lashley hose?
Oh man, that would be terrible.
hey, all right. We're live on YouTube, folks. We're going live, guys. We're going to do this live.
Oh, all right, cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so we're live right here, right now. I do believe we are live anyway. Let me just check and make sure that we're live, because sometimes it likes to be stupid. I hope
What
we're
time are we going into the AEW time frame? Is it on?
Hang on a
'Cause I don't
second.
want to. I want to be opposite of them.
All right. Okay, we're live with a little bit of a delay, but whatever. Hey, so I'm going to post a link to this thing, to the show, and we're going to have people ask us questions. So yeah. Let me just, how do I, I'm just going to do it this way.
Hey Dustin, where are you at?
I'm in Georgia.
Georgia? I used to live in Florida.
My buddy lives in Florida. My friend, he just moved to Florida, so.
I was in Georgia once for a Braves game. Frank Viola against Ed Oldwine.
Oh, so you were in Georgia when they were still in Atlanta.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves are now in Cobb County.
I'm wondering when they're going to change their name. Fall in line.
You know, that's I don't think they will.
They could be the Cobb County Boss Man.
Yeah. Which, funny story about him, I actually played baseball with his nephew. Ray Traylor. He actually, where I'm at now.
Wasn't Ray Traylor a wrestler?
Yeah, that was Big Bossman.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
Yeah.
Big Bubba from WCW.
Yep, Big Bubba. He actually is not too far from. Well, he when he lived here, he actually wasn't too far from where I was.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Right down the street.
I live
Just
in the
like
same
Texas
state
State
as.
in Stone Mountain, Georgia. That's I'm probably 30 minutes away from. I pass DDP's yoga studio all the time. It's right down the street from me.
Oh, cool! Isn't Stone Mountain, Georgia? Isn't that where Jake the Snake is from?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
He actually still has a house down there.
Oh, all right, perfect. Okay, did it share the link? Come on. Please tell me you shared the link. Damn it. Sorry, folks. What the heck? I don't know why this didn't share my link, but whatever. Yeah. I live in Colorado. I'm in the same state as Lashley and E. Torres, pretty much. And I don't know any other wrestlers that are in Colorado.
I got the McMahons.
Well, and if you want to get technical, I actually have Cody Rhodes, Marietta.
Yeah?
He was born in Marietta.
Okay, Marietta, Georgia. Okay.
Yeah. I'm probably 15 minutes from there.
Well, you got the most wrestling history than any of us combined. Because Georgia had, so much wrestling history, it's not funny.
Yep. I was actually in attendance at the Omni Arena in Atlanta when Ron Simmons won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
Hey, Dustin, I was just telling Mark before you came on. I was in the same. I was at that Raw when Goldberg came back in 2016 after 12 years away, and I actually had box seats. So I was in the box seats, and we had an all-you-can-eat buffet and an open bar. So
How was that pop?
that Goldberg pop was really insane, dude. It was fantastic. And I was also at that Raw where the Viking Raiders won the Raw Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, that's another team that I think there's so much more for them.
For the Viking Raiders? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. The name itself is stupid. The Viking Raiders.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to think too that they had that name with the forbidden word of McMahon. McMahon has forbidden words, war being one of them.
Yeah, they
make
banned
you
that.
wonder why he don't like the name war.
I think they banned that during the Gulf War, maybe it was, or it might have been later than that. I know they banned it because when they changed it from Raw's War to Raw.
Yeah. Well, I think that was when the whole WCW Monday Night Wars thing.
I know that they banned the theme song for SmackDown when it was Let the Bodies Hit the Floor because a bunch of people died in a massacre or something.
Hey, I'm going to send you guys the link to the live video, so share this on your Facebook, boys, so that we can get some questions going here. If it'll send.
All right, so how do we see the questions?
So I'll be able to see them because I'm an administrator. So as they come through, I'll ask them to the people that ask questions.
It'll be like a real show.
Like what?
I'm joking. So it'll be like a real show.
Oh.
Are they going to direct the questions to us individually, or are you going to choose which ones they go to?
Well, no. They can comment on the live video on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and you'll see, so if you go to the YouTube video, if you go to this video on YouTube, there you go.
Yeah, I saw the last one where there was comments on it from people.
Yeah, Which one was that? With Bakery Music?
The one with Ron on it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that was the Money in the Bank, yeah. That was, the cool thing about that show was, right after Money in the Bank, right after I thought that the Money in the Bank had ended, right after that Roman Reigns versus Edge match, I immediately called Ron just to start the show. And so we're starting the show, and I went to go turn off to turn off Peacock, and I go to turn it off, and I see that John Cena's coming out. I'm like, oh, and right on air, I go, oh shit, John Cena's coming out. Whoa. And Ron, you get a genuine reaction from Ron. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh wow. So he goes on and he clicks, and you get a genuine reaction. He's cheering loudly, and he goes back and he's like, holy shit, that was insane. And he marked out. He loved it. So you get a genuine reaction from the both of us in that instance.
Yeah, I was surprised he didn't get any boos.
You know, I think that crowd was just happy to be back.
Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it, but I wonder how much, too, that WWE did actually dub some of the sound to where you didn't get.
They dubbed the Chicago crowd, I think.
Oh, yeah, you have to get rid of the CM Punk chants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I knew they were going to go back because obviously they make more money when you have the fans live there. But I thought that whole Thunderdome concept was like right where Vince McMahon wanted. And at a point, I thought maybe they would start doing more of that because he could control the crowd reaction the way he wanted it. You know, with like the whole, he wants everybody to boo a certain superstar, but yet you're going to have fans, and I'm guilty of it. I usually cheer for the heels because I like the heels.
Oh, yeah. The heels are a lot cooler than the baby faces at times.
I think that the problem with the Thunderdome is he books for himself, so he's the only one popping. He's the only one doing it. So he needs the crowd to tell him what he's doing wrong. Not that he's going to listen.
Yeah, I was going to say, the crowd is telling him what he's doing wrong. That's not the problem. The problem is he's not listening.
But he still needs that there so he knows in the back of his mind, okay, well, like, he did the right thing for Roman. Let's put it that way. Eventually, you know, he ignored the fans until he knew Roman was ready, and then he turned to, you know, flip the switch, and Roman was the heel. That's the thing is he wasn't going to put Roman in that position prior to him being ready. So he ignored the fans for like, 10 years? 8 years or whatever?
Plus, he's still ignoring them.
Yeah. It's an ongoing trend.
Yeah, it's not just for like the certain amount of years.
SmackDown's on all levels, you know. SmackDown's like pretty much in gear with what the fans want. So on the one show, McMahon's making all the right decisions. On Raw, no, he's not. So it's like it's just a finished product right now.
I've always looked at Raw as that was his show for his enjoyment because that was his encompassing baby that, you know, when it started, that was his. And then the SmackDown thing, I think, only happened just because then he was like, okay, well, we can have the SmackDown and let them kind of give the fans SmackDown, but I'm going to have Raw my way.
Yeah, I can see that. Because SmackDown was always, especially when Heyman was in control, was always producing wrestling talent that Raw would take. You know, reinventing guys to bring back to Raw.
Yeah.
And now it's not so much doing that because I think that the deal with Fox made SmackDown more important than Raw is.
Yeah.
So I think that he's allowing SmackDown to actually become what it should be.
And there again, too, that I think that's where it's actually hindered wrestling is, or those shows, is that he's got so many hands in the cookie jar now, you know, with Fox, NBC, and whatnot, that it's like you've really gave away control, but you still have control. You know, it was like when they moved SmackDown to Fox, and the rumor was that Fox wanted Lesnar to be the champion, so that's when we had to push Lesnar straight to the front.
Hey, Wrestling Fan 2021 has a question for us. Who is your favorite wrestler of the past 5 years? I'll let you guys answer first before I give my answer.
5 years?
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt. Pretty much, I mean, he could do a ballet and I'd probably enjoy it.
I would have to agree and say Bray Wyatt.
For me,
me so much though it was the original Bray Wyatt that was, wearing the Hawaiian shirts, speaking all the words.
And that was the thing. One of his promos back in, I believe it was when he first broke into NXT. It might have even been before NXT was NXT. It might have been that Florida Championship Wrestling or whatever. Was one of the lines that he said was, "He wins wars without even lifting a finger."
Who said this? Oh, Bray.
Bray Wyatt.
Oh, that could be. Ooh.
And that to me, and I guess that's where I'm kind of a on the fence wrestling fan, is to me a lot of the storyline of the telling the stories, like Miz. One of the greatest on the mics is Miz. Undoubtedly.
Miz has fallen off lately.
And then you've got, Bray Wyatt, like the stuff that he says.
1 second.
It just draws you in and it makes you want more.
Yeah, you see, that guy could have been used and built around.
Yeah.
And not only, you remember the cartoon Hogan and Friends in the 80s? They could have easily done a cartoon with Bray Wyatt and his puppets. Easily.
Yeah.
They could have easily translated him into adult TV shows for horror, anything, remotely involved with death. He could have been involved.
Sick.
It's so amazing how much money that he left on the table by releasing that guy.
Yeah, and see, he brought a lot of his influence, and he's been on record saying this. He brought a lot of his influence from the old wrestler Waylon Mercy.
For me, my favorite wrestler of the past 5 years. The past 5 years, I would have to go probably. No, shut up over there! Don't make faces. I'm sorry.
Adam Cole, baby.
And no, I would go actually with somebody completely different. Of the past 5 years, numbnuts, I would probably go with Cesaro.
He's a workhorse. I'll give him that.
He is a work. It's either Cesaro or Seth Rollins for me.
See, Seth Rollins never, even when they were in the Shield, never really pulled the trigger for me.
I like Seth now more than I used to because he's allowing himself to be not taken as serious. As a performer, he's just like he's crazy now. Before he was always trying to say I'm the best there ever was, ever will be. He was trying to be like Bret Hart,
Seth to me is he is a very underrated worker, and a lot of people are very quick to rip on him because he's a quote WWE ass kisser. He's only kissing their ass because he works for them. If I was working for a multi-billion-dollar company, guess what? I'd probably kiss their ass too.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still.
He just not answer the question.
Yeah, he's kissing ass when he shouldn't have. He doesn't have to kiss ass.
You don't have to volunteer to kiss McMahon's ass.
No,
you're the one that brings up the topic, the subject. You don't have to speak about it.
Yeah, you're not in the kiss McMahon's ass club. God, don't bring that story back. Jesus.
Hey, Jonathan Jones says Vince is garbage personified.
I could agree with that. Something like that.
Yes, sir. I can agree with that too. Actually, I think Yeah, he's a billionaire, and a lot of billionaires are garbage people. Mom, would you agree with that? Hang on, Mom, would you agree with that?
I don't think he's a bad human being. I just think that he
I think he's lost touch with a lot of the wrestling.
He has so much successes that, like, and so many times people have said he lost touch. Like, prior to the network, he had lost touch, according to everybody. And then when he was going to do the network, people said he was crazy, it would never work. And then when it worked, he said, aha, I still got it.
Yeah, but then it worked, and he decided, you know what, it's working, let's change it.
Yeah, but you understand he made $1 billion by changing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's his thing. His guys only see money.
Here's the thing. I could care less. I'll say that again. I could not care less about how much money a multi-billionaire makes.
But here's my point: is he knows that he couldn't sustain it. They were losing subscriptions left and right. So it's like, okay, you got 1.3 for a base. You need 1.4 to break even. You can't sustain it. There's no growth in it. So rather than worrying about sustaining it year to year, you can sell it for $1 billion for a 5-year deal. In 5 years, if no one else wants it, they go back to the way it was before.
But in 5 years, somebody's going to want it.
Exactly. Chances are when ESPN's going to want to pay $2 billion for it.
Yep, I can see. I mean, that it's a smart money business-wise. But when you break it down to the nuts and bolts and the meat and the potatoes of it, it was terrible. But business-wise, it was the greatest decision he's ever made.
I think if he was 30 years old, he wouldn't have sold it. But
No,
being
never.
almost 80, he knows that he can't be there to properly do it.
And see, that's something else too. Is a lot of people give him slack for that. Like hey, he's hanging on too long. But anybody put in his position would hold on as long as they could to keep raking in the money.
Yeah, I don't think he trusts anybody, to be honest.
No.
I mean, his kids obviously aren't the answer. Shane's not, and neither is Stephanie. So the only one left is if Triple H could carry the ball. I'm not sure if he trusts them totally yet.
No, and I don't think he ever would fully trust Triple H. I mean, I would say he puts a lot of trust in Triple H. But, I mean, look at what Triple H has done with NXT.
He's done some good stuff with WWE or with NXT. Don't get me wrong. I don't know that I would still trust. I don't know if I would trust him with a company.
But here's the kicker, though. The only way you can trust Triple H now with NXT is if somehow NXT can rise above WWE. And currently on TV, it's not doing that.
No.
So you could take everybody, all the talent from NXT right now. You could take all the talent from AEW right now, and you could throw them on Raw and SmackDown. It's not going to increase the numbers.
Nope, not a chance.
Hey, real quick, Dustin and I, before we started our podcast, Dustin and I actually had a conversation, and I'm going to talk about this for a minute on this show. So last Friday, I was supposed to do the CNC Connection podcast with my co-host, Chris P.S. Martin. And Chris apparently decided that morning that he was completely done with the podcast in general. And I haven't spoken to him since, unfortunately.
So he lost his smile.
Yeah, we'll say that he lost his smile. And I'm not going to rip on Chris because he's actually a pretty good dude. But he got tired of the podcast. He was done with it. And so the CNC Connection podcast is no longer a thing anymore. However, fear not, because you will still get some classic reviews on this channel. Dustin and I will start reviewing classic shows. So Dustin will replace Chris on the show. And I'm sorry?
Is it now the C&D connection?
Yeah, I guess you could see it's the DNC or the CD connection. The CDC. Yeah, there you go. The CDC podcast.
The CD, we're taking it back to nostalgia. Does anybody even know what a CD is anymore?
Oh, probably not this generation, but I remember those CDs. My sister used to make her own personal CDs with a bunch of songs on them. So,
Anybody ever have an 8-track?
an 8-track?
Huh?
See, now you're going to get my
8-track, yeah.
parents. Now the 8-track thing is my parents' era, so. Really? How old is the 8-track thing?
Good gravy. No.
8-track was 70s.
Oh. Is that more grandma's thing then? Okay, my bad. That's my grandma's era. They're not my mom and dad's era. They were.
We're gonna hear Simon getting murdered on YouTube.
Hey, Zach. Hey, Dustin. If you don't hear from me next week, buddy, that's why.
your mom Crispin watch it. It's okay.
Oh.
And she'll listen to an 8-track while she's doing it.
No, she listened to a Walkman. That was my mom's era. Was the Walkman? There you go.
Yep.
The Walkman.
The Walkman.
Yeah, I just saved myself from death. Yeah. Actually, there was a bar by this rapper named Dax, who I recommend everybody check out. Dax is a really dope artist, and he has a bar. One of his songs where he goes, "CDs, you better Walkman." Like, CDs, fists, you better walk away. But instead of saying that, he says, "CDs, you better Walkman." So that was just a little tie into that. But Dax is he has some pretty good lyrics. I like his songs a lot. He has some, and there's a rapper named Clip Monstar who I'm supposed to interview at some point. I still haven't done it. I don't know when we're going to get that chance, but he has a lot of wrestler bars in his music. Like in one song, he has a whole song called TLC. And he talks about that band TLC, and he talks about tables, ladders, and chairs. And he has a song called Grudge, and he says stunt like Mick Foley, I'm Cactus Jack with the landmine. Don't care to show no dude love, lyrical threats to mankind. So, I listen to a lot.
Wasn't that going to be the Ric Flair drip?
Hey, these songs are actually better than the Ric Flair drip because they actually have actual like bars in these songs. Ric Flair drip, that all they got is Ric Flair drip. Go woo in this bitch or whatever, and I'm just like, that's not. At least with like Clip Monster, you get something to go with it. Like still like Mick Foley on Cactus Jack with the land, it all kind of flows together. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you two a question.
What up?
You think wrestling's that popular now amongst the musicians, per se, that in 5 or 10 years we're going to be hearing lyrics about this era? Or do you think that, I mean, seriously, I'm asking seriously, you think that that's a possibility?
Maybe.
You think that wrestling's so unpopular now?
I can see people rapping out like CM Punk or whatever. Yeah.
Well, to me, I mean, if you look at it too, that back in the day, or so to speak, it was a certain group of people. To where now wrestling's pretty much it's so mainstream now that everybody's got their hands in it somehow, some way. I mean, I know back in the WrestleManias they had musical acts there, but it was you would see a musical act to start like a WrestleMania or something, but you wouldn't necessarily have any songs about the wrestling in it. Whereas now, because it's so mainstream and it's such a huge net that pretty much everybody's under it now, that it's almost impossible not to now.
But I think wrestling has lost a lot of viewers in the past couple of years, unfortunately. But I also think that, see, people like Jim Cornette, they like to say that it's dead, wrestling is dead. No, that's not true, because enough people are still watching and talking about it. I mean, you go on YouTube, you got people talking about all kinds of things wrestling. I don't think it's dead.
His version of wrestling is dead.
Wrestling in a sense that he's talking about is WWE isn't wrestling. Let's put that first and foremost.
It's sports
They're entertainment.
Yeah.
AEW would be wrestling. NXT would be wrestling.
Hang on. AEW is a variety show.
Well,
But
my
it's
point
closer to wrestling
is,
than WWE is.
Okay.
that's my point.
Well,
AEW
hang on.
They
Because
both have been
hang on. AEW, you say it's closer to wrestling than WWE. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily because AEW is doing some really stupid stuff right now with the pizza cutters and the plates of glass and all that crap. And that's not wrestling.
It's a brand of wrestling. See, that's the thing.
It's a brand of jackass, is what it is.
Well, I mean, okay, if you look back at when back in the Attitude Era, when they were pushing the hardcore division.
That's everybody's argument for it, but I would argue that even with the hardcore division in WWE, they didn't do pizza cutters, they didn't do the broken plates of glass, they didn't do the most hardcore that they got with the Attitude Era was cookie sheets and tables and chairs.
Jim Ross busted a cookie jar, a candy jar over.
Okay, but he didn't put the person through. He didn't put the person through a plate of glass, and he certainly didn't take one of those broken shards of that glass and dig it into his opponent's skin.
Well, no, but if you watch Deathmatch Wrestling, which that guy, forgive me for
Nick
not
Gage.
really knowing his name, because I'm not a big Deathmatch Wrestling fan.
Oh, Foley was in 13 or 14 of them.
Yeah, you know,
So,
I mean, but you got to look at it too. Is they push the envelope so many times to where, what could you possibly do next? That would, you know, because think about it. Back in the day, you'd take a power driver. That was a finishing move. You know, nowadays you take a power driver and you brush it off like, okay, cool, let's go to the next move. You know, it's because they've pushed the envelope so far and so many times. It's almost like you're running out of things that you could do because to me, wrestling is more of a making fans believe type situation.
So you say that wrestling is a making fans believe type situation. I agree with that. Make them believe in the characters and the gimmicks, and we'll get into one in a minute. But make them believe. I'm sorry, I can't believe in a wrestler going through a plate of glass. I can't believe in a wrestler getting sliced open with a pizza cutter. I will say that was a funny thing last week on Dynamite when Nick Gage did the pizza cutter spot on Jericho, and right immediately they go to a Domino's commercial. That was pretty funny. I mean, and then Domino's immediately said, "Hey, we had nothing to do with that. Our hands are clean on that one."
See, it also depends on how it's done and how it's gimmicked. Like,
Exactly.
In some of its death matches in Japan, they weren't like, they had a Taipei death match where you tape glass to your fists. Now
They also had a run death match, didn't they, in Japan?
Those were brutal though. That's like, and that was legit. It wasn't like, you know, I didn't even know he died in them, but you know, it was like a legit competition. Like it was scripted as well. But I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Like, because they take wrestling seriously in Japan.
Japan is some crazy people. You got octopuses chasing after young teenage girls and stuff. And
Okay, I mean, if we want to talk about spots and whatnot, look at when Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy were in that TLC match when he took a screwdriver through his ear.
God!
I mean,
in that Hell in a Cell? Yeah, that was... God. Oh.
It's like the first Foley bump off of the cell when Undertaker bumped him off. They didn't gimmick it because they didn't know what was going to happen.
No.
But then when they did it again, they gimmicked it so much that it didn't even look like it was going to hurt, you know.
Right.
They gimmicked it to death, like that was it, and that's what I'm talking about. Pushing the envelope was okay. So they do that, and then he goes through the center of the cell onto the mat. Okay, well then the next one you see, you've got Rikishi going into a bed of hay. Like,
he falls backwards off halfway up the cage.
Yeah, and I get why they gimmick the cell and everything. I get why they gimmick everything for safety reasons, but it's not the same. And if it's not going to look the same or be the same as the original, Don't do it.
Or look at what the King, what was it, the King of the Ring, when Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon
went to that glass.
Yeah, how many times did he have to take a belly-to-back suplex into it before it finally caved in?
Oh, yeah, that was just absolutely...
Like Dustin was saying, they paint themselves into a corner where they can't not do it, they have to do it.
Yeah.
It's like ECW started, it was like good wrestling sprinkled in with a bunch of chair shots. And it ended was like a bunch of chair shots with some decent wrestling. You know, like they went from one table to two tables on fire. You know, it's like you gotta keep topping yourself every show.
Hey, what do you guys think about Nikki Ash? What do you guys think about that gimmick? I'm gonna let you guys say your piece before I say mine, because I'm gonna go into it.
It's not my cup of tea, but you know, congratulations on her for coming up with an idea that a 5-year-old brain would embrace. Because McVay loves that. Like I was telling you, I messaged Tony Nese and I told him if he came up with like a superhero gimmick for himself, pitch it to McMahon.
Yeah, Tony the Tornado.
Tony the Tornado, exactly. He'd be TNT, Tony the Tornado. Yeah. Everything he would do would be like having an EW tinge to it. Like his finisher would be the dark elevation.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I remember. Hang on a second. Hang on just a second. I actually made some jokes too.
He would have his aerial elite, weapons to use as offense.
Yeah, I actually, I do remember that. Let's see if I can find that. Or there it is. Because I remember I made some jokes. I said something like, where is it? Where did you go? Hold up. Yeah.
The superhero gimmick to me is Molly Holly, Hurricane Helms. I mean, if it's what she wants,
okay.
And to me, it's you can replay other gimmicks before, but to me, it's what you make of it.
Yeah.
And if she can excel in it and she has a following, and that's the thing about wrestling is it's not going to always be for everybody.
Well.
And to me, the superhero gimmick's really not the thing. But then again, you think about it, Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse to me was freaking awesome.
Yeah. The jokes that we made about Tony the Tornado, by the way, I said something like, his blood type is Omega, and he'll be around for a while because he's still a young buck.
Okay, and speaking of that, and that's gonna, I'm gonna kind of jump off topic a little bit with the young buck.
We're off topic all the time on this show, so.
And I know it helps accentuate things, but Jesus Christ, can we stop slapping our legs?
Yes. And can we stop using? Can we stop kicking out of every single move?
You know what? I gave the Young Bucks a chance. I watched a Ring of Honor match once. Young Bucks were teaming in it. It was the first time I ever seen the Young Bucks wrestle. Last time I ever watched them wrestle was they just constantly were doing crotch chops the entire match.
The Young Bucks. I watched them as Generation Me in TNA, and I was actually pretty impressed by them. I was really, really impressed by them. I was like, ooh, because they had some pretty cool moves, right? But then you get to watch more of their matches, and you hear them, and you see them online and on Twitter, and you see how they are, and you're like, oh my God, could these two be any more pretentious? Like they think that they're funny, and they're just being annoying little twats.
Yeah, I do have to give them credit on that. They take their gimmick outside of the ring. To where that kind of brings you back to the older days when characters in wrestling would never break character. Like you'd see the Undertaker outside of WWE, and he would be the Undertaker.
Yeah,
I don't think he's playing a gimmick though.
To this day, I still think Undertaker. You see him outside WWE, he's still the Undertaker. I still think that.
I think the Young Bucks are who they are. I don't think they're a gimmick though.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not. Okay, maybe I've missed what the gimmick is. they are who they are wrestling in real life. You know, it's like that thing where they say, you know, you take yourself and you turn it up to 11. That's
that's a gimmick. That's the best gimmick.
To me,
their problem is that they got such a lousy sense of humor, and they got such lousy personalities that they believe in their own bullshit so much that they're causing a lot of issues with creative.
Did you guys see what they did last week in the opening match of AEW? It was the Elite guys, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, all those idiots, versus the Dark Order and Adam Page. And the Elite guys, or whatever you want to call them, the Chumps. Let's call them the Chumps. They came out in this, the monster, the Toon Monster gimmick from Space Jam. They had like all these jerseys, and they had basketballs, and we're the Young Bucks, the blonde Young Buck. He actually did like a slam dunk into the hoop, and he missed.
But see, and that's the thing is they're so fatty, you know. They go off of all the fads to keep themselves relevant. That, I mean, look, how many times did they copy what the Rockers have already done? You know,
they're basically Hot Topic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they are. You know, that's why they like that store so much. It's because that's who they are. That's their personality. Is they take every popular trend and run with it.
Yes.
Whoa. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, the Allegiant Stadium is going to require masks for SummerSlam attendees.
Yep. I said online that everybody should wear Fiend masks.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. You know what, guys? This has been fun, but I think it's time to call it a night. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, Dustin and I, we have our own podcast coming out, starting probably this week at some point. So tune in for that. Also, if you like this video, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when we upload new videos. I upload almost weekly, so you don't want to miss anything. Until next time, I'm Seibelmania.
And hold on. And if you don't like and subscribe it, then I hope your dog pees on your foot. Okay.
Hey, that's true. Yeah, so do I. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Seibelmania Friends podcast. We'll see y'all next week.